Well, hello all. This is the very short version of when did the Old Covenant end? Well, the very first thing that's going to happen when Christ returns to earth is his feet are going to stand on the Mount of Olives. And the mount is going to split into two, heading north and south, and rivers of water are going to flow east and west. They flow west into the Mediterranean, east into the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea becomes refreshed. In Ezekiel, you can read about that in Zechariah 14, and this occurs immediately after Armageddon, when half of Jerusalem is taken captive and there's blood up to the bridle. This is just read about Armageddon. So then we find that a description of this river is found in Ezekiel 47. It talks about how a man went 1,000 cubits and was up to his ankles, another 1,000 up to his knees, another 1,000 up to his loins. So this is a very huge river. There's nothing like it on earth, nothing ever been like this before, and it's flowing out from Jerusalem. So it's obviously future. And we find that this river actually flows from the house of God, which is described as being built, and the plans for it are from Ezekiel 41 and 42 describes this house of God. Now comes the interesting part. Between Ezekiel 42 and Ezekiel 47, this is all millennial, because none of this has happened yet. There's no river flowing out of Jerusalem. There's no crack in the mountain north. There's no new temple, which Ezekiel 41, 42 describes. What's the strangest thing? There's all kinds of animal sacrifices. All the things in the Old Covenant ceremonial law are carrying on in the millennium. So we see that the ceremonial part of the Old Covenant continues through the millennium under Christ. Read it for yourself. Read Ezekiel 43, 44, 45, 46. I challenge you. And you will see that what I'm saying is not at all untrue. So if people have a problem and say, oh, well, the first thing to go was the ceremonial law, that's still there. Therefore, the moral law and the civil law is still also there, which means the whole Old Covenant is being implemented under Christ in the millennium. So what is this new covenant? Well, Jeremiah 31 says, after those days I will write my law into their minds, into their hearts. So that is how the new, and Paul even talks about it in Hebrews 8, how after those days I'll write my laws into their hearts. So the difference is the new covenant, instead of being written on tablets of stone and in the Bible, is written on people's hearts and minds. And so the new covenant is the problem with the old covenant was not the old covenant itself. It was the people, as Paul says. I think it's in Hebrews 8 or Hebrews 10. So the problem was not with the actual law part of the covenant. The problem was with the house of Israel and Judah, and the people could not keep it. So he has to give his Holy Spirit, write it into their hearts and minds, and that is the only difference between the old and the new covenant. So the old covenant never ends. It is there in the millennium, and it seems like, well, it doesn't say what happens after that, but it's at least here for the whole millennium.